Hi, I'm Holly with Otium, and today I'm going to be making another cake that I've been wanting to try since I saw it on the Great British Bake Off. It is the decorated Swiss roll. So everything about this cake is new to me. The rolled shape of it, the decorated pattern, and the fact that it does not use any leavening like baking soda or baking powder and relies on eggs. For my pattern, I chose to do butterflies, so I drew these onto the back of a piece of parchment paper in pencil, and then I'm facing that pencil side down, and I grease the top of the sheet here so that it's ready to be piped on. So I am making yellow and purple butterflies. It said to grease the paper, but now it's not sticking to the greased paper. Okay, cool. So these are going to go into the freezer while I make the batter for the cake. So I'm going to start with my egg whites and egg yolks, pouring those in, and then my sugar. So I'm going to be whipping these on high until they are thick, pale, and fluffy. Now I'm going to beat in the vanilla here. Moving on, my eggs and sugar are all whipped up. They are light and fluffy and pale yellow. The next step is to take the cake flour and cornstarch mixture, sift half of it over. It's very little flour in this recipe. And then use a rubber spatula and fold that in. And once that's folded in, just do the same with the rest of the flour. And the folding motion is the way to mix in ingredients into beaten eggs so that they don't lose any of that air that you whipped into them. And you want to make sure you get your spatula all the way to the bottom of the bowl so that you're not missing any pockets of flour that get stuck there. I say all this and then it's the first time I'm making this cake. So that is all the flour in, and what is my next step? Now I'm going to make the egg white mixture, which is really going to make the cake nice and light and springy. So I have my stainless steel bowl here for my stand mixer. I have a tiny piece of lemon that I cut up. This bowl is clean, but whenever you're making whipped egg whites, it's very good practice to wipe out the inside of your bowl and your tools with some lemon juice so that you can cut any grease that might be lingering on any of the tools. If there's any bit of fat touching the egg whites, they will not whip at all, and that will be disaster. And I'm gonna put in the egg whites and whip until they are foamy. Now that they're foamy, I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar. I actually don't know what this is. I know that it helps egg whites hold their structure when you whip them up. That's all I really know. So we want these at soft peaks, which they are now, which means they'll hold a little bit of a shape when you pull the whisk out of the bowl, but they won't stand up nice and thick and glossy. They'll still be a little foamy looking and soft. And so at this stage, I'm going to add the remaining sugar. And now whip them until they are that stiff peak stage. Wonderful. So I'm going to take some of this mixture and fold it into the batter and then do the rest. So the same thing, you want to be quite gentle here so that you're not knocking the air out of that. So I'm going to start with about half of the mixture and then get the rest in. That looks nice and light and fluffy still, thankfully. So I'm going to go get a tray of the piped butterflies out of the freezer and then pour this all over the top and then put it in the oven and we'll see what happens. My butterflies are out of the freezer. They still look the same, so that's good. I didn't expect a change, but just in case. So again, this parchment paper is greased and I'm going to pour this over the top and then spread it out evenly with that offset spatula there. It is nice and fluffy. It looks good. That didn't sound convincing, but it does. Spread that out so it's covering all of the design and getting into all the corners. After this, it's going in the oven onto the scary part, which is rolling it up and seeing if this worked. So I'm going to stick this in the oven for less than 10 minutes, so I will be back very soon. Okay, it's out of the oven and it's a little brown, which I'm concerned about because if you overbake this, it makes it prone to cracking when you roll it up, but if you underbake it, it's not going to be fully baked. So immediately when taking it out, you want to take some powdered sugar and dust that all over the entire cake. And then going to take a dish towel, clean obviously, and have to invert the cake onto this. Right, now I'm really hoping, one, get this off, and two, that the design is there. I can't get a grip under it. I need help. Okay, thank you. Oh! And then peel this up. Oh my god! Wow! I forgot I was gonna dye the cake batter. Oh well. So then we're gonna do the same thing to the other side. Right? Yes. I'm going to roll this in the towel, and the point of this is so that it rolls while it's warm and it gets used to being in a rolled shape. If you were to roll it cold, it would probably crack. Take my cake burrito, hope it's not cracked, and it stays there until it's cooled. Now it's time to fill and roll the cake, and in taking a look at it just now, I realized I made the unfortunate mistake of rolling it with the pattern on the inside. So I'm hoping it will survive being rolled the opposite way. Fun mistake to make. So this is what I want on the outside, of course. I'm going to flip it over and see if we can still get the roll without any or minimal cracks. So here we are, and then I made a bunch of whipped cream. I'm just gonna flop that on there and smooth it out and then attempt to get this to roll the opposite way of how I cooled it. Oh, so sad. It might have to be kind of a loose roll. And no. Time for the reveal. Yeah, stop it. Time for the reveal. Yay. It is a butterfly Swiss roll cake. Actually, I do think it's cute. I do. So looking at it, I did not quite get the spiral that I was looking for due to cooling it in the spiral the opposite way that it was supposed to. But it is very cute, and the cake texture came out exactly as I was hoping it would. It's light and fluffy. I don't think any of the air was knocked out in baking it. So overall, cute, fun, recommend it. I will link the 2 recipes that I used for this cake down in the description box below, and stay tuned for my next video.